I just wish every player could have the opportunity to work with him because he's a fantastic guy, a fantastic coach, and I miss him a lot. Cristiano Ronaldo. He is the best coach of all time. Alessandro Del Piero. Ancelotti was like a father to me. The times with him were indescribable. Andrea Pirlo. Quotes from former players, some of the most talented this sport has ever seen, hailing Ancelotti's qualities aren't hard to find. They are almost everywhere. And yet, ask any football fan who the best managers in the world are, and the same names will almost definitely come up. Guardiola and Klopp always do, followed by the likes of Tuchel, Conte and Nagelsmann, whilst more pragmatic coaches like Mourinho and Simeone have their supporters. One name you will very rarely hear entering the discussion is Carlo Ancelotti. One of the best midfielders of his generation who spent 15 years representing Roma and Milan, after hanging up his boots he has managed an incredible combination of elite clubs, including 3 of the 4 most successful in European Cup history. The first manager to win each of Europe's top 5 leagues and in with a chance of winning a record-breaking 4th Champions League against Liverpool tonight, we feel that Ancelotti deserves more respect. Welcome back to EFD Explained, allow us to explain why. Ancelotti's CV is unlike any other manager in world football. Spanning nearly 30 years, he's won 22 trophies at clubs with a combined 29 European Cups to their name. But it's important to note that his career didn't get off to the best of starts and has been punctuated by the odd failure. After 3 years working under Arrigo Sacchi at the Italian national team between 1992 and 1995, a period that covered Italy's run to the 1994 World Cup final, he secured Reggiana's promotion to Serie A before getting his first big shot with Parma. Taking over a team which included future stars like Buffon and Cannavaro, Ancelotti's spell was ultimately a little disappointing, as he backed up a promising second-place finish in 96-97, with 6th the following year. A strict disciple of 4-4-2 in his early days, his inexplicable decision to offload not only Gianfranco Zola but Roberto Baggio, due to concerns about their suitability to his preferred system, backfired spectacularly when Zola became a club legend at Chelsea, and Baggio scored 23 goals for lowly Bologna the year after he departed. When this was followed by an underwhelming spell at Juventus, where according to the Athletic's James Horncastle, he became known as Il Perdente de Successo, which translates as the successful loser, after the Bianconeri lost the title on the final day of the 1999-2000 campaign to Lazio and came up short again the following year. There were question marks around whether his time in management would ever live up to his playing credentials. The Juventus critics, who even held up a banner saying "a pig can't coach," were soon silenced though, as Ancelotti returned to his beloved Milan, won a Champions League and Coppa Italia in his first season, defeating the old lady on penalties in the former, and won a Scudetto the following campaign, finishing 13 points ahead of his former side. After trophy-laden but fairly brief spells in charge of Chelsea, PSG, Real Madrid and Bayern, Ancelotti experienced the second perceived failure of his career at Napoli. He struggled to build on Maurizio Sarri's legacy, much as he had Pep's at Bayern, finished with 12 fewer points than his predecessor in his wonderful campaign at the club, and was fired with the partner pay languishing in 7th in December 2019. When he backed this up by leading Everton to 10th, finishing with a goal difference of +5 from his 67 matches in charge, not a mean feat given their struggles this season, it was felt that after spells in charge of the biggest clubs in Spain, Germany, France and a 21st century behemoth like Chelsea, Ancelotti's time at the top table of European football was done. But fast forward a year and the warm Italian has proved the doubters wrong and secured his status in the history books with a 5th league title and a run to the Champions League final. So why do these top clubs continue to turn to the Italian? In the cutthroat world of football, being a nice person is often overlooked. Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger, 2 of the greatest managers this country has ever seen, were both seen as father figures to their players, but their sharp tongues and short fuses ensured they were never seen as particularly warm to the outside world. Carlo Ancelotti is different. Nearly everyone loves Carlo and his brand of quiet leadership, the name of his autobiography. Take his time at Chelsea. Warned by the Blues' former boss Luis Felipe Scolari in an interview the World Cup winner did with O Globo, in which he said that the real power in football at the moment lies with the players, and that guys like Drogba, Ballack and Cech had never accepted his training methods. But Ancelotti wasted little time in winning them over. Frank Lampard has subsequently explained, Carlo understands what it is to be a player and what he has to do as a manager. He is laid back, but when he speaks with authority. Backed by the highly esteemed coach Paul Clement and the universally adored Ray Wilkins, Ancelotti helped create a relaxed environment that elite athletes thrived in. As Clement, his assistant at Chelsea, PSG, Bayern and Madrid told The Athletic, players warmed to him straight away. He can be strong when he needs to be, but he likes to speak to people on the same level. It's no wonder that Didier Drogba, a player brought to Chelsea and nurtured by Mourinho, labelled Ancelotti the best coach in the world, whilst Alex, who followed him to PSG, claimed that even in the notoriously hard-to-please PSG dressing room, Carlo was a father for everyone. Everyone loved him. It's unfair to paint Ancelotti, as many have in the media, as merely a nice guy and excellent man-manager, because he has time and again displayed his tactical acumen. He risked the wrath of Milan's demanding president Silvio Berlusconi by refusing to play two strikers during his time at San Siro, instead favouring a Christmas tree formation, with first Rui Costa and Rivaldo off Andriy Shevchenko, and then Seedorf and Kaká, the latter being a player Ancelotti brought to Milan, who came to define his 8-year stint there. At Chelsea, after initially having planned to use a 4-4-2 diamond, which according to James Horncastle would ideally have included the addition of Andrea Pirlo, his plans had to be altered after Roman Abramovich only handed him Yuri Zhirkov as a major signing in the summer of 2009. Rather than complain, Ancelotti found a solution in a 4-3-3 formation. Malouda, Anelka and Kalou played their part, but Drogba was sensational that season, with the Ivorian powerhouse scoring 37 goals in all competitions, whilst Frank Lampard had the most impressive campaign of his career, providing 27 goals and 18 assists in 51 games. The Blues were a free-flowing attacking force, scoring 142 goals in all, including 103 in the Premier League, a then record only topped by Man City Centurions of 2017-18, ending Man United's 3-year stranglehold on the Premier League title in the process, and picking up an FA Cup for good measure. And this leads us on perfectly to our next point. Ancelotti has an incredible record of getting the best out of attacking players. The aforementioned Shevchenko won a Ballon d'Or under his tutelage, scoring 29 goals in 2003-04. Lampard and Drogba thrived during his time at Chelsea. Zlatan averaged over a goal contribution per game in their one season together in Paris. Ronaldo scored 112 goals in his 2 in charge at Real Madrid. Dominic Calvert-Lewin finally fulfilled his potential under Ancelotti at Everton, whilst Vinicius Jr. and Karim Benzema have taken their games to new heights this season. It would be disingenuous of us to suggest that Ancelotti hasn't had some issues with players before. Taking over at Bayern after Pep Guardiola, German magazine 11 Freund wrote, after the departure of the ascetic tactician Pep Guardiola, Bayern now have a bit of joie de vivre in the dugout. Despite the fact his one full season at the club saw them overturn RB Leipzig to win the title by 15 points, scoring 89 goals in the process, he was fired in September 2017 amidst talk of player unrest. The Italian was criticised for failing to get the best out of Thomas Müller and was openly questioned by Robert Lewandowski after a 1-0 defeat to Dortmund in November 2016, saying, "We need to play more systematically." As Bayern's then technical director Michael Reschke told The Athletic, Ancelotti's great skill is to get the soloist to play like an orchestra. But Pep had relentlessly worked De Rotten into a well-oiled machine, and they felt lost without his intense tactical instructions. When his next 2 jobs after leaving Bayern were Napoli and Everton, and he was continually overlooked for multiple roles, it felt like Ancelotti's era was coming to a close. That was until a surprise resignation by Zinedine Zidane on the 27th of May 2021 brought about an unlikely return. Despite what many Madridistas might claim now, there have been times throughout this season when a loud minority of them doubted Ancelotti. Despite opening up an 8-point gap at the winter break after wins against rivals Barcelona, Sevilla, Real Sociedad and Atletico Madrid, a 1-0 defeat to Getafe in their first fixture of 2022, and 2 draws in the next 4 fixtures, had people questioning whether Ancelotti could get his side to peak at the right time. From there, though, a run of 9 wins in their next 10 games, with the only aberration being a shocking 4-0 defeat at home to Barcelona without their talisman Benzema, meant the club had sealed just their 2nd title in 5 years. Although most would have called this a minimum expectation at the turn of the year, given Barcelona and Atleti's troubles and the fact the strongest competition was coming from Sevilla at that time, no one could have predicted what has happened in the Champions League. 8 years on from leading Real Madrid to their much-desired La Decima, their first European Cup in 12 years, Ancelotti has taken them on the most improbable Champions League journey. A 17-minute Benzema hat-trick eliminated PSG, 2 goals after 80 did for reigning champions Chelsea, and 3 goals after 90 knocked out favourites Man City. A side that lost to Moldova's Sheriff Tiraspol in matchday 2 has managed to defy all expectations and write one of the most incredible pieces of European Cup history for a club largely defined by success in that competition. People might argue that Ancelotti has merely been in the right place at the right time. But there is a skill in making yourself consistently employable to some of the richest and most demanding football executives on the planet, and likeable to the superstar playing staff beneath you. Whilst his career in management might not have been as seamless as Pep Guardiola and his 10 titles in 13 seasons, Ancelotti, adored by his players and the public alike, certainly deserves your respect as an elite manager. So guys, that was our EFD explained on whether Carlo Ancelotti deserves more respect. What did you guys think of it? And do you think they've got a chance against Liverpool tonight? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe to EuroFootball Daily, and I'll catch you next time.